Those over here.
Okay, tell them why you're here. Why are you here today?
Because no stool. Hi.
Can you tell Lindsay where you were born?
Russia.
And where do you live now?
Tioga.
So it was 2009 or so when we started thinking about adopting a child, and we went through several different ways and investigated, and it's kind of a long road, but it was probably 2009 when we made the decision that we were going to adopt internationally. And we looked into several different countries and kind of settled on Russia as the place because we'd been over there a couple of times, or once I guess, at that point. And I did a demonstration over there, went over there with the NRHA. And so as we went through that process, which is a very long and tedious and anxious waiting period, we got an opportunity to meet Jimmy in 2010. And we went over, met him, spent about a week in Russia, and then we had to come home. And actually that first trip that we went over there was over the legacy sale, which I'm a partner in, and we missed the very first legacy sale we've ever missed, which is, you know, kind of a big deal for us because it's our annual sale. It's a huge part of our annual income every year, and so not to be there and take care of everything was a little stressful, but it was well worth it because we got to meet Jimmy at that point. And then had to come home, and we stayed home for about 3 months, and then went back, met him again in February or January, and went to court to get all the adoption stuff done, and we were there about another week that time, and then we had to come home for 10 days because there's a 10-day waiting period after the court accepts the adoption, which is the hardest 10 days of your life, to leave this little guy over there and come back here, but we couldn't stay away from the business that long. So we came home, and then in the end of February, we went back, picked him up, and then we spent about 2 weeks in Moscow getting all his paperwork done and everything. And it was very interesting because we stayed with a family that was on the 17th floor of an apartment building in Moscow, and I think the warmest it ever got outside when we were there was about 28 degrees, and most of the time it was below zero, so it was very cold. So we didn't spend much time outside except for when we had to run to the car, get in the car and go somewhere, and there was lots of snow on the ground. There was probably 3 or 4 feet on the ground all over the city, so it was quite a mess. But it was fun, so we spent a lot of time in an apartment with this little guy. Got to know him really well, and then we had the long flight home, which we were very scared about, knowing what a little 15-month-old baby would do on an airplane for 20 hours, 10 hours. But he was perfect on the way home. He slept most of the way, sat on my lap most of the way. It was just a lot of fun, and he has changed our lives completely since he's come home.
To do. We worked with an adoption agency, so we had a lot of help along the way, getting our paperwork filed properly and everything. So just I guess our best advice would probably be just to know that you're in it. It's going to take a while, and be patient. It's worth it in the end.
Patience are the biggest thing because you don't think it's ever going to happen, and you think every bump in the road is the end, and you panic. But if you just be patient, it will work out.
March 4th, we'll have him had him for 5 years on March 4th.
They're silly.
Dad's silly, not me.
You are silly.
You're silly.
No, I'm not.
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do when you grow up?
If you could do anything.
Go to space.
I'm Katja, I'm the breeding manager here at Hendricks Reining Horses. This is our breeding lab and my office at the same time. And then if we go out here is our breeding room. Where we collect our stallions and check our mares. We're standing Starlights Wrangler and Hendricks Surprise here. These are foaling stalls. We have one in here that's just a couple days old. Hello. Cutie. And then this one is about to foal, I'm thinking probably tonight or tomorrow. And those are the only two I have up right now. These are Puss Sisters, I got a special name.
Alright, hi, I'm Parker Wurst. I work at Hendricks Reining Horses as an assistant trainer, and today we are going to tour the ranch. This is the breeding lab barn, and when we have a lot of mares, these are foaling stalls. But right now they mostly have training horses in them because we haven't started foaling a ton of mares yet. But as we get more to foal out, we'll put mares that are going to have babies in here. But for now, they just got show horses in them. So this is our wonderful training barn. We have 10 stalls in here, a wash rack and tack room, and this is where we keep all of our show horses that we're hauling down the road. It's 125 by 250, and we have the wonderful windscreen and 3 rows of lights. Over here we got a roping chute and 2 roping boxes. We can do a little team roping when we're not riding the reiners. We have a couple tie poles down here. Yeah, this was donated to us by Dr. John McCarroll a bunch of years ago, and it is the awesomest thing on earth. This ranch was originally built as the first commercial embryo transfer facility in the United States, and they used to run 450 embryo transfer mares on this ranch. And that was all they did, was they had a vet on staff and they transferred the embryos into mares and cared for the reset mares. And it was built in the early 1980s, and then Dell bought it in 2001. The whole office was designed to be for the embryo transfers, and where the foaling stalls are that we have mares and foals in now, that was actually a vet room where they'd actually do surgeries, and the whole lab was set up just for embryo transfers, and they have all the pastures lined up to where they could run mares in out of any pasture. This is Starlights Wrangler. He's one of the 2 studs we stand here at Hendricks Reining Horses. He was the 2002 NRBC Open champion. He made the finals at the Derby and the Fraternity as well. He won $128,000 in his show career, and just recently went over the $1 million sire mark in NRHA, so that is very cool. And we're happy to have him here. Another 45 probably mare motel stalls for breeding mares and mare care and babies. And all of the mare motel stalls and stalls down here were part of the original place where they were keeping embryo transfer mares when they started doing that.
So good.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's